Section 1-2 is titled Variables and Expressions. Since this section is a little longer, we're going to split it into 2 days, so this is day 1. There are 4 vocabulary terms I would like you to write down. The first one is algebra. This is a branch of mathematics that uses symbols. Next we have a variable. This is a letter or symbol that's used to represent an unknown value. So I wrote some examples here of some expressions that have variables in them. First we have 4 minus x. We have 5m plus 6. Recognize here that the operation between the 5 and the m is multiplication, so it's 5 times m plus 6. Next we have ab. This expression has 2 variables in it, and since there's no symbol in between them, it's multiplication. This would be read as a times b. And the last example is y over 3. It looks like a fraction. Remember that fractions are division, so this is y divided by 3. An algebraic expression is an expression containing at least one variable and one mathematical operation. Remember we defined a numerical expression in the previous notes, and so the difference between a numerical and an algebraic expression is that the algebraic expression contains at least one variable. When you are defining a variable, we are translating verbal phrases into algebraic expressions by choosing a variable and a quantity for the variable to represent. And we will look at some examples where we need to do this in order to solve the problem. Remember, if you are not finished writing, to pause the video, and when you are all done with this slide, then you can resume. So let's look at the steps for writing algebraic expressions. First, we want to use words that will describe the situation using only the most important words in the problem. The second step is variable. We're going to define a variable by choosing a letter to represent the unknown quantity. Finally, expression. We're going to translate the verbal model into an algebraic expression. Before we do that, let's talk about writing mathematical operations with words. Remember the 4 mathematical operations: addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. What you're going to want to learn are the list of words underneath each operation. When we go to see these word problems and we're trying to write the expression, you need to understand that for addition, you could see words such as sum, increased by, more than, total, added to, or plus. For subtraction, you could see the words difference, decreased by, minus, less than, and subtracted from. For multiplication, you could see product, times, of, twice, and per. And finally for division, quotient, and divided by. Below each of the operations, I have common symbols that are used. For addition, it's the plus sign. For subtraction, it's the minus sign. For multiplication, you'll see an X, the dot, or possibly the use of parentheses. When a variable is involved, oftentimes you won't see any symbol for multiplication. For division, it's the division symbol, or oftentimes a fraction bar. Remember again, if you're not finished writing, to pause the video, finish your writing, and then resume. Also here you may notice that more than and less than are in red. And we'll do some examples with these 2 words, but what you want to remember is that when you see more than and less than, it means you need to switch the order. And we'll see here in a minute what that means. So let's translate the phrase into an algebraic expression. $3 increased by the cost of a sandwich. We have it in words, so we need to identify a variable. The variable is the unknown. We have $3 increased by the cost of a sandwich. That is what we don't know. We don't know how much a sandwich costs, so this is going to be our variable, the cost of the sandwich. And we can call it any variable we want, but I will use an S here for sandwich. Now we need to determine which operation we're talking about. If you go back and look at your list of all of the different words under those mathematical operations, here you see increased by. That means addition. Finally, we need to find a number somewhere, and hopefully you see that it's $3. You can use the dollar symbol here. And now you can see we have formed the algebraic expression. So the algebraic expression for $3 increased by the cost of a sandwich would be 3 plus S. And I actually won't write the dollar symbol there. Again, translating the phrase into an algebraic expression, 35 more than the number of tickets sold. Here it is written in words, and we're trying to translate it into an algebraic expression. So we need to find our unknown. 35 more than the number of tickets sold. Well, we don't know how many tickets were sold, so that's our unknown. I'm going to call it T for tickets. Next, we need to find the operation we're talking about. Hopefully you see the words more than and you think addition. Remember though, this was the word on the list that was red. That means that when we write our expression, we don't say 35 plus T, we need to switch them around or swap them. So we say T plus 35. This is extremely important that you're doing this when you see more than and less than. In addition, order doesn't matter, but in subtraction it absolutely does, and you won't get the right answer if you don't remember to switch them on more than and less than. So let's look at some more examples. The difference of 6 times a number and 10. So this one's a little more complicated. We have 6 times a number and 10. What we don't know here is the number. So this is going to be our variable, and I will call it n. We have the word difference, which means subtraction, but we also have times, that means multiplication. So the first thing you want to ask yourself is, how do you say 6 times a number? 6 times a number, when the number is n, is 6n. But remember, it's difference, so what are we subtracting? We are subtracting 6 times the number and 10. So it's 6n minus 10. And I know that these might seem a little confusing at first, but we're going to spend a whole day on this. So try to understand as much as you can in the lesson, and then remember to ask questions in class. For example 4, we have Mary had $2 and made $6 an hour babysitting. So we want to write the expression for how much money she has. Well, she starts off with $2, so we know she has $2. And she makes $6 an hour babysitting, so we need to add something to that, and can oftentimes mean addition. If she makes $6 an hour babysitting, what don't we know? Well, we don't know how many hours she actually babysat, so our variable is going to be H for the hours that she babysits. So how do we do $6 an hour? Well, we can think of it as, if she babysits for 1 hour, she makes $6. But if she babysits for 2 hours, she makes $12. So what did we do to 6 to get 12? We multiplied it by 2. So we want to have 6H, or 6 times H. So the expression for if Mary has $2 and makes $6 an hour babysitting is 6 plus 2H. Or excuse me, 2 plus 6H. Last example is 5 points less than the points scored by field goals if each field goal is worth 2 points. So we have the numbers 5 and 2, and I see the operation less than, so that's going to mean subtraction. Remember again, that was written in red, which means we need to flip our order. So 5 points less than the points scored by field goals, if each field goal is worth 2 points. Well, what we don't know are how many field goals are scored. So field goals, that needs to be our unknown, and I'm going to call it F. If each field goal is worth 2 points, how many points do they score if they make 1 field goal? They would score 2 points. If they make 2 field goals, they score 4 points. If it's 3 field goals, they score 6 points. And this is just me doing some side work here. What are we multiplying 2 by to get our total points? We are multiplying it by the number of field goals. If it's 1 field goal, 2 times 1 is 2. If it's 2 field goals, 2 times 2 is 4. If it's 3 field goals, 2 times 3 is 6. So we need to do 5 points less than 2F. But this is not 5 minus 2F because remember it's less than, so it's 2F minus 5. And you'll hear me say that a lot. For more than and less than, you need to switch the order. In class, we'll work on worksheet 1-2A. This is the end of the video, and I will see you in class.